There has never been a more important time to move in a vegan direction. Whether you're ready to start, restart, or re-energize your vegan or plant-based practice, this podcast is for you. I'm Michele Olander, life coach, vegan, ADHD matriarch, travel lover, and smoothie loather. And I know that it's the details that get in the way of your vegan journey. But I like to believe that the obstacle is always the way. So every week we meet here where I translate the tools of life coaching and Stoic philosophy. I bring you actionable tips, some laughs, interesting guests, and vegan ideas for everyone at any age. All to help you veg your best. Episode 230. More or less. The Antidote to Goal Resistance and Resolution Trauma. Hi, my Veg Your Bestie. Did January just fly by for you? I've been hearing that from some folks, but it has, I don't know, it's actually seemed kind of a long month to me. But if you are listening when this episode drops the last Tuesday in January, and if my clients and friends and inbox are any judge, some of you have had really, really positive Januaries. Some of you have been taking part in Veganuary. Some of you have been working with me. You know by now that I'm here every week to encourage you guys, even if you never, ever work with me one-on-one to start or restart or re-energize your vegan or plant-based practice. But just so you know, I do work with people. And maybe we'll have an evergreen course later in the year. Maybe there'll be a group, but right now it's just one-on-one via Zoom or telephone or email or text or semaphores if that's your jam, whatever you find helpful. So anyway, I am still working as a coach, but some of you have also, you've told me that you carry a lot of resistance to the idea of goals and resolutions. And I see you. I get it. There is for sure something like goal trauma that exists in the world. And of course, a lot of us have, most of us, probably all of us have had a goal in the past and maybe put ourselves out there publicly. And by publicly, I mean in front of your siblings or your sister-in-law or your ex, and made a big effort and then sort of failed publicly. Well, by publicly, at least in front of those folks that you see around the holidays every year. And so your brain, which has a prime directive of keeping you alive and safe, your brain may have interpreted the embarrassment, maybe the disappointment or shame of that failure, and it may have decided that your failure to achieve a certain goal in the past, or even a number of goals along the way, your brain may have decided, nope, won't get fooled again. No goals for me. No resolutions. That's just the patriarchy trying to make me feel shame about who I am. That's just women's magazines and capitalism aimed at getting me to focus on what's wrong with me all the time so they can sell me things I don't need. And that's not wrong, I don't think. I don't think you're wrong about that. But I do think it's a privilege of life as a human, a privilege of life with a human brain and the options that do exist in this moment in time, tough as this time can be. I still think that as a woman, as an older woman, I have more options to serve and enjoy life and share and learn. I have more options than any of the women who have gone before me, at least in my family. And part of that, in my opinion, is the ability to imagine my life beyond the norms that were served up to me, beyond the norms that were served up for my parents and my grandparents, and even beyond the norms of my younger self. As I've said here many, many times, moving in a vegan direction in my 50s was one of the greatest acts of personal liberation and freedom for me, because it showed me in a very practical, concrete way that I can intentionally choose to live differently, live closer to my ideals and ethics every single day, all day, and do what I used to think was more or less impossible for me, and do it without blowing up my whole life or my family. So today, I just wanted to suggest that if you are someone who feels a lot of resistance to the ideas of goals, to the idea of New Year's resolutions, I do really get it. But I don't want you to throw out the proverbial baby step with the bathwater, you know? Veg Your Best. The framework of Veg Your Best coaching is that we always work with you, with your thoughts, with your mindset and your priorities. And sometimes we just need to remember, yes, you're right. Yes, goals and resolutions have been used against us as women. Yes, marketers and businesses have used techniques to make us self-conscious and ashamed and dissatisfied with who we are, and more desperate to seek change by buying something. Yes. And if there's something that you know you want, something you know would be good for you and your family for your own reasons, if there is some change or evolution or growth or challenge or curiosity, these are amazing, intrinsically human capabilities and gifts, and you don't need to be afraid. As one of my clients said recently, she said, I used to think the patriarchy and unscrupulous businesses were vested in keeping me busy with endless consumerism and unachievable goals. But now I see that keeping me busy with unachievable goals keeps me from doing and achieving what I absolutely can and want to do. So if you find words like resolution and goals and New Year triggering, I want to suggest an option, more or less. More or less, a more gentle framework. And for the purposes of those of us who are restarting, or re-energizing a vegan or a plant-based practice, more or less can work so well along your vegan journey. What do you want to learn, do, and feel more? What do you want to learn, do, and feel less? What do you want more or less of in the year ahead, or in the week ahead, or today? And one of the reasons I think more or less can work, because it's just more flexible and compassionate. There are not hard rules that you have to institute and learn all about and change today. It's not you either succeeded or failed. It's just an opportunity to lean into some gradual progress. And it's very customizable, because it works whether you are a brand new beginner learning something, or if you are very experienced and are just feeling thwarted by some next evolution that appeals to you but just seems impossible. And it's empowering, because you can do more or less. You can institute the concept of more or less, and the self-reflection and the mindfulness that it implies. You can institute it anytime you want, in any moment, rather than thinking that there's some external rubric that you will be evaluated against. So to try more or less, to try to institute more or less, just a moment of reflection, a moment of thinking, what is it that matters to you? What of your values and your priorities, what aspects of maybe your vegan lifestyle or the vegan lifestyle you would love to lead, what do you enjoy? What could you do more of? And what do you struggle with? What could you maybe do a little bit less of? So important to just choose some focus areas, some categories that could include, it could include your food, the details of your food. It could involve sustainability or activism. It could include your health, your relationships and self-care. It could involve maybe setting up some systems, maybe some items that you put on a buy every week list that even though you don't know quite what to do with them, you're going to buy them. They're local, they're in season, and you're going to incorporate them into your lifestyle more. Or maybe there's some items that you've been buying that you know aren't really serving you, and you want to buy them. Maybe you don't want to give them up entirely, but you'd like to buy them less. And this is an option for anyone at any time, to just write a simple list of what you'd like to do more of, what you'd like to do less of. For example, maybe trying a new plant-based recipe instead of the ones that you have been just using on repeat and that are a little bit boring right now. Or maybe you're going to ask more often for options at places that don't seem to be as vegan friendly as you might like. And that's just reminding me, quick diversion. I'll be talking about this another time, but just literally last night, I was at a restaurant I've been a bunch of times, and they have a poke bowl on the menu, and the poke bowl says it can have tuna or salmon or shrimp. And I actually ordered something else there that I like, and I had almost talked myself out of asking the server because it was pretty busy, but I just said, I'm going to ask the server, is there any way to get that poke bowl with tofu? I know there is tofu on the menu elsewhere, but it's not listed as an option for the poke bowl. Sure, she said. She said, sure. She said, sure, enthusiastic. She didn't say, I'll go ask the chef or I'll ask the manager. She said, sure. Lots of people get it with that. And if you prefer brown rice, we can do that. And if there's anything else we have on the other dishes that you want to include, we can include them. What? What? It was that easy? The ruby slippers were on my feet all the time. I had the power all along. Okay, I love Wizard of Oz. I think that's the answer to a lot of questions. Sorry, that was a digression. But maybe your more is ask more often whether certain things are possible, whether it's vegan or plant-based or some other aspect of your life that you've been kind of afraid to ask for, or some other part of your life where you just assume if it was possible, someone would have told you by now. Ask for more help or support. My clients often hate journaling, or they say they hate journaling, probably because they feel they've failed at it along the way. But if you email me with a few of the more things you're focusing on when I'm working with you, and a few of the less things you're focusing on, showing you your emails back to me in the email thread, it can be a very powerful thing to see how small more and small less adds up. So whether it's in food or cooking, more exploring seasonal produce or more cooking with whole foods, maybe less relying on heavily processed vegan products or vegan junk food, maybe more using the websites and vegan cookbooks you already have, and less buying new books or less scrolling to find new apps and plans and websites. Maybe it's just more greens, more whole grains, less worrying about macros or when you can't find a good plant-based option, just choosing animal products less often or choosing less of that animal product. In terms of sustainability, maybe it's instead of going waste-free or plastic-free, maybe it's more shopping secondhand, more composting, less buying single-use plastic items. Maybe it's more inviting friends to share a plant-based meal or share a recipe with you. And maybe it's less judgment of others for not being vegan or not getting why you want to be vegan. Maybe it's more practicing gratitude for the vegan choices you have made and less pushing yourself to be perfect or to meet some sort of unrealistic standard. Maybe it's supporting local animal shelters more or sharing educational posts on social media. Maybe it's less, maybe it's avoiding opportunities to speak up about veganism less when it feels appropriate. Listen, there are countless thousands, maybe millions of mores and lesses that can be gentle and compassionate ways to challenge yourself this week, this year, as you learn and gain skills and experience. And yes, I can already hear some of you. You're already saying, Michele, that's not enough. That won't add up to much. That's not a big enough difference. Okay, well, go out there, my friend, and be perfect today. I'm all for it. Maybe you're already an AP vegan. Do you know that term, AP? In the U.S., AP is Advanced Placement. It's kind of a class that's available in some high schools for students who are very, high achieving academically to get college credit while in high school or place out of introductory college courses. So I know some of you are AP vegans, top of the vegan class, and I do applaud you. I am inspired by you. And I ask you to maybe lean into some other area that's more challenging for you rather than worrying about what the others in the class are doing. So I would love it this year. I would love it this week if you would share some of the ideas that come up for you where you can more or less it this year. Dr. Michael Greger, who some of you know, I would love to have Dr. Greger on the podcast. Can someone please invite him to get him on here? Dr. Greger from nutritionfacts.org. He often talks about crowding out the animal products on your plate. It's a beautiful, manageable way to begin a plant-based practice. More greens, more grains, more beans, fruits, veggies, seeds, mushrooms, and less meat, dairy, fish, and eggs as you're beginning. Maybe for you it's more movement and less sitting, more reading, less scrolling, more art, less TV, more writing, less housework, more decluttering, less buying online, more cooking at home, less takeout, more buying glass containers, less buying plastic, more traveling by train and bus, less travel by car and plane. Even very small shifts can create meaningful change, especially if you keep track of it. And it will have you leaning into the power you do have today, the power you do have now, not later on when you've magically learned everything and become perfect. I'd love it if we could all cheer each other on this year as we lean into more or less rather than goals and resolutions that feel hard for some of us. It could be in your family, in your home, in your place of work. It's such an easy conversation to have. I wonder what we could do more of this year. I wonder how I could encourage you in something you want to do more of this year. And what would you like to do less of? How could I be helpful? How can you be a support as somebody else leans into more or less? One of the things I always forget to include in my podcasts is homework. My coach sometimes calls it, now today's homework for the rest of your life is, but what if your homework for just this week or just today was to think about some things you already know you'd like to do more of or less of? Whether you're listening to this on January 28th, 2025 or August 2042, where can you try out some more or less? Maybe you're picking up more trash on your walk or complaining less at work or with your partner. Maybe you commit to some more handwritten letters and cards to friends and loved ones, and maybe less social media. Maybe more fiber, maybe less soda, maybe more asking questions and less telling. more reusing, recycling, repurposing, less buying new. Let's make it more or less easy to win and live intentionally and help others to do the same. So please share your ideas this week. Please share this episode with anyone you think might enjoy being part of this community. And until next week, veg your best.
Veg Your Best podcast production, music, and editing by Charlie Weinshank. Thanks, Charlie. Before you go, it would mean so much to me and the Veg Your Best team if you would hit subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, or share with someone you think might be interested. Something about algorithms, it helps bump us up a little in the rankings, and that's the best way to help others find the podcast and for us to find our audience. So, until next week, make it easy and veg your best.